Welcome back to I Love Canada. Folks, today we are standing at a pivotal moment in our history. With the October 19th referendum fast approaching, there is a lot of noise about Alberta's place within the Canadian Confederation. Is the province looking to separate, or are they fighting for a stronger role within the Union? Today we are breaking down the Premier's recent address, looking at the legal facts, the root causes of this frustration, and what this means for our national unity. If you care about the future of our country, this is a video you won't want to miss. Let's dive in. First, we have to look at the legal framework. Many people are asking, why can't we just have a simple, binding referendum on separation right now? The Premier addressed this head-on, explaining that the courts have essentially put a roadblock in place.
Well, hello, everyone. As many of you know, last night I delivered a televised address regarding the debate that we are having in our province on the future of Alberta and Canada. First, let me say I'm fiercely loyal to both Alberta and Canada, but I truly believe that our country is so much stronger and more prosperous when we respect the rights of provinces and empower them to govern themselves with minimal federal interference. We have an incredible future ahead for our country and province. We are turning the tide on the last 10 years of disastrous policy from Ottawa that held our province back. Now we have a federal government that is starting to work with us in the spirit of cooperative federalism to undo the damage caused by the previous government. I've been clear with Albertans from the start that I support remaining in Canada, and that has and will continue to be the position of my government and my caucus. Now, to the referendum question on October the 19th. To those Albertans wanting a binding separation referendum in October, this simply isn't possible. With the recent court ruling, there's no legal way to hold a binding separation referendum.
As you just heard, the Premier is emphasizing that a binding separation vote is currently legally impossible due to court rulings. This is a crucial point for all Canadians to understand. Our justice system acts as a binding authority, even when politicians or the public disagree with the outcome. This section of the speech highlights the tension between citizen-led initiatives and constitutional law. It forces us to ask, do we prioritize the immediate will of the people or the established legal constraints of our Constitution? What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. But why has it come to this? Why did 700,000 Albertans feel the need to sign petitions regarding this issue? To understand the referendum, we have to understand the anger. The Premier points to a decade of what she calls disastrous federal policy that she believes held the province back.
Well, I can tell you what has caused the crisis in as many as 1 million or more Albertans feeling that Canada doesn't work. And it's been terrible policies over the last 10 years, most of which we were able to get repealed through our recent MOU. But there's still some work that needs to be done. I know that there's still some distrust, and we have to show people that things have changed rather than just tell them. And I think part of that is going to be getting the approval to build a pipeline to the BC coast. But I think that it isn't the only thing that has caused frustration. And I've mentioned that to the Prime Minister. There's issues around immigration, which is why we have several immigration questions on the ballot in the fall. There's issues around how the federal government interferes in our jurisdiction. Those questions will also be on the ballot in the fall to see if we can get them addressed. And there's also the issue of the gun grab for law-abiding gun owners who purchase their guns legally. So not everything is perfect with Ottawa, but I think the MOU is a good first step in showing that we have a federal government willing to work with us to find some common ground to address them. I think more and more people every day are seeing that this effort is worth it, but we still have some work to do to convince many who signed those petitions that that is the case. And that's what I'll be working on doing over the next 5 months.
That was a very direct response regarding the state of national unity. The Premier highlighted issues ranging from immigration and federal interference to the handling of legal gun owners and energy policy. She argues that the path forward isn't just about separation, It's about cooperative federalism, working with Ottawa to fix these grievances rather than simply walking away. It's a delicate balance. She's acknowledging the deep-seated frustration of Albertans while simultaneously pushing for a collaborative solution with the federal government. It begs the question, can Ottawa and Alberta really find common ground? Or is the divide too wide? So, with the referendum on the ballot for October 19th, what is the Premier's role? She has made her position very clear. She intends to actively campaign for the Remain side.
I have been actively campaigning to save our country and to resolve these issues from the moment I got elected. Just because you acknowledge frustration doesn't mean that it goes away if you ignore it. I think people need to understand that. If you ignore the fact that 700,000 people went out and signed a petition campaign saying, let's have this vote, and I choose to ignore it, that just doesn't make it go away. What will happen is that one side will get the majority of the vote, and then the other side will have to stand down. And I think that that's the important part that you go through in a democracy, is that you have to be able to have the discussion so that you can talk about the merits of one side versus the other, make a decision, and then move on. That's what we need to do, is we need to make a decision and move on October the 19th.
This is arguably the most consequential part of her address. The Premier is not shying away from the debate, she is leaning into it. By stating she will campaign to remain in Canada, she is putting her own political capital on the line. She believes that ignoring the 700,000 people who signed these petitions would be anti-democratic. This creates a fascinating dynamic. The leader of the province is campaigning against one of the options on the ballot. This is a classic test of democratic leadership. It's about letting the people have their say so that the province can finally move on, one way or the other. So there you have it. October 19th is going to be a defining day. Whether you support the move toward potential separation or believe strongly in a united Canada, the debate itself is happening. The Premier has set the stage. A 50% plus one majority will determine the direction. What do you think? Should we be having this conversation, or is it creating unnecessary uncertainty for our economy? Make your voice heard in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to I Love Canada for more updates on our nation's future. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.